Hello everyone, this is Alex Tamulis, my fellow musicologists. This is a video about Until It Sleeps. Welcome to the channel. It's a video about the music video to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Load. The video looks like a painting, in motion. It's beautiful. It's like looking at a live painting. The main themes on Load are sin, repentance, atonement. This main character can be seen as a Jesus-like figure, someone who suffers, someone who's pierced by thorns, sex, violence, blood representing the suffering, the manifestation of pain and sorrow, the story of Adam and Eve as the main drive for the music video. The lyrics, they focus on James's parents, especially his mom. She was a devotee of Christian Science. She strongly disapproved of medicine, and his father died because of cancer, but his mom, I think she died in 1979. She battled cancer, and the disease is a recurring theme on Load. So if you really want to understand the music video, the imagery of Until It Sleeps, you need to look up a painter, and his name is Hieronymus Bosch, The Garden of Earthly Delights. And this piece depicts Christianity and the mindset behind it. It's the ultimate painting about sin. It consists of 3 panels, that's why it's called a triptych. The panels are hinged, and they are part of the story because you have hell, earth, and heaven. You see that there's an egg there, and the egg symbolizes the beginning. I'm going to try to describe the video using Hieronymus Bosch's painting as the source of imagery, the source of the context. Let's mention the music director. His name is Samuel Bayer. He's one of the most famous directors of the 90s. The work is flawless. It's a beautiful video. The first scene, which is knowledge as the goddess. Knowledge depicted as the tree that gives you knowledge, but at the same time it's got thorns. So you have various human characters in the background. We get to see King Nothing representing a figure of power in our society, and then we see Lars as the first member to appear, probably representing a lost soul or a troubled soul in some way. Then James comes in, and he looks like he's sitting on a throne, and there's like a crucifix right above him, and he represents the general human figure, the one who's a devotee of Christ, who will experience pain, pleasure. We have this representation of social hierarchy in this context, the medieval society. You have shepherds, you have farmers, clergymen, you have jesters. The whole medieval society there is described, which is a pretty neat scenario. And the camera turns to Lars and Kirk, and I'm assuming they represent real sinners, maybe addicts, maybe alcoholics, who knows, right? But Jason is linked to the earth, to dirt, and Lars seems to be linked to blood, as we will see down the line. Kirk seems to be linked to pain and violence, to the struggle of the mind as well, and the same with James. But then we hit the chorus, and the chorus goes by, and these 4 souls, they go by living their issues, living their struggles. They're representing the doomed souls and the fall of mankind, the fall of sinners. Then off to a crucified Kirk. And wow, man, it's a pretty strong image. And we get to see this Latin phrase on the cross, vexo crucio sui jactantia. And, a rough translation, it could be, here lies a torturer. Here lies someone who boasted his own boastfulness, his own arrogance, and who delighted in various pleasures, and also someone who caused pain to others. But we can summarize the whole thing with one word: sinner, right? Basically, that's the whole representation. He's representing the one who sinned and the one who's being crucified for it. Now, the plane of the video now broadens, and we get to see James sitting on a throne. And it's actually a throne full of thorns. He can get out. He could potentially get out, but then he would be cut. He would be pierced by the thorns. So this represents his temple, the vessel where you find protection, but anytime you try to move too far, you're going to get hurt. And after that, we get to see the figure that represents cancer. Cancer is a Latin word. It means crab. But this thing doesn't look like a crab at all. This thing looks like some sort of like worm, half human, half beast. And this thing can grip you. It can hate you. It's wallowing in the mud. You get the heebie-jeebies just by looking at it. And then Lars pops up, and Lars is right behind. And we have like a demon figure. And we can assume that this is the scene where the character is, being possessed by this demon, controlling the actions of the character, or at least trying to coax him into vices, coax him into the pleasures that will become vices. And then James sings, you feed it once and now it stays, and it goes to the chorus. And then that's the thing, so you fed it, now it wants more. So it describes this disease being really greedy outside the person, and the person doesn't really have any resources to care or to find a cure. So this thing will definitely tear you apart. The dirt stains you, the dirt stains the blood, the worm is there, dirty, muddy. Jason's character is showing that the exact thing is going on. You're just really dirty there, stained, and we get to see the first washing part. It's important because the water here can be linked to various things. In this case, I would say it's an attempt to ask for redemption. It's the choir, like singing, "Wash me, Lord," with the blues songs in a way. Hear my pleas, like the choir sings that because, I hurt, so please wash this away. This is linked to innocence. It's linked to purity. And actually, the innocence is represented by the baby being held by the tree, being cared, right, by the tree, keeping innocence there, sheltered, but it will later on abandon, and then that baby will have to experience the world. And then we have that instrumental midsection where, they play like a C major, and we get to see Eve for the first time. She's right there by the tree of knowledge. In the background, you see a house, many houses actually. You see a church, you see like a city or town actually on fire. And that reminded me of the lyrics on Hero of the Day, because it says, the windows burn, keepers of the flames, babies crying. So it's got lots to do with that scene there. James sings now with Until It Sleeps. So tell me why you've chosen me, right? Tell me why you've chosen me. It can mean various things. Why am I to suffer? Why do I have to go through this stuff? And then we see like a glass with various words, many words, and I picked up some of them, English ones, Latin ones, like imbecilius, which could be imbecile, delictum, but in Latin they mean weak, failure, and you see stomach, terrarum, obscure, human, arrogance, duco, which means think, and then we switch to the boar figure, the representing the devil. It's probably reminded of that painting by Giotto called The Last Judgment from 1306. And the wild boar is now part of the scene of the Garden of Eden. And then we see Eve, Adam, and the Tree of Knowledge. So Eve, I think few scenes prior to this, she grabbed the apple from the tree, and that could have been the gateway for the boar to be part of the scene. And now we see the earthquake. It represents the doom of mankind, the fall of men, the garden being dirty, unsafe now, and the boar, which is obviously the devil or Satan, is harassing Eve, and she's handling the apple. Now the change has been completed. The awareness and knowledge are part of our traits, human traits. We're part of, this society where we think and we reason and we decide things for ourselves, but still under the influence of sins and vices or persuasion. And the director cut to the scene of the crucifixion, maybe saying that Jesus is here to forgive mankind and to be our lamb, to be the sacrifice. I think the Christian term is absolution. And then the medieval society is now judging Christ, throwing things at him. King Nothing is there, pointing his finger. This is an important part because we have three people trying to protect Christ, right? Trying to hold him there against society. But these three people are the jester, some sort of like sorceress, and an old man. So we get to see that they are like lowly figures if you compare to the higher powered, the clergyman and the king and the other layers of society, a knight. And it's an interesting contrast. Now we're back to Adam and Eve and the tree of knowledge, and the tree is dead now. It looks like Eve has been poisoned. Yeah, it's a very sad scene. And then you have the frog. I may be wrong, but I'm interpreting it as wealth and greed, since the frog is a symbol for wealth. And we get to see demons, and these demons probably possess some humans. They're being eaten by the frog. The demons are being eaten by the frog, which means that, the wealth feeds greed, feeds on humans, the monster is just fed by these things, by materialism. And Lars is washed by blood. Now he's being comforted by this demon figure. He finds solace in sin. James is being tormented by the thorns, by the throne there, but we get to see that it all happens in his mind because nothing is happening to the body. So it's akin to the lyrics on Load, and it gels well with the whole rationale. James finally denies the situation. He says, I don't want it, and the very last chorus just pops out, and then the band is just playing the instruments. They're just a live act now. They're providing the soundtrack to the story that I've been telling you for a couple of minutes. So we get to see them as the troubadours now. And in the meantime, society is just throwing apples at Christ. We get to see the knight, the king, the shepherd, the queen. We get to interpret the scene as some sort of like they're using something resourceful as an apple, throwing knowledge away. And it's a futile attempt to hurt that figure, to ridicule, to deny him. He's been abandoned by everyone but his mother, Mary. She washes his feet with tears and water. And a priest is shown right in the background, from afar actually, and the priest looks well-fed, looks, clean, probably representing a criticism against the opulence, the wealth of the church. And the song ends with Eve being held by the devil, which shows how women are blamed in society for the desire to be knowledgeable, which bugs me because Adam should have been there too, Humans should have been there. Unfortunately, people tend to blame women for these things, culturally, and the video is portraying how people think, which is unfortunate. The last scene shows society watching the dead body of Jesus and Mary crying over his feet, showing that death is inevitable and everyone is passively watching from a safe distance. The members of society, we see that it's the same cross that Kirk was crucified on, meaning that Jesus has taken the place of every human being. He has died for our sins. And that closes the chapter on the analysis of this masterpiece. If you want to delve into the universe that Metallica has presented us, that they have concocted, you can look up more info on Hieronymus Bosch, the painter, the medieval painter. You can also read articles about James's upbringing and his relationship to the Christian Science faith. Please mind you that I'm just being a reporter here, telling a story, not condoning, not denying. I'm just trying to analyze a music video that's been very important in my musical life. And as a Metallica fan, I've always been intrigued by the meaning of the video. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel. Please hit the bell button so you don't miss out on any of the content that I'm putting out. And I will always keep promoting music since music is what music does. I'm signing out. Cheers, everyone. Thank you so much.